Never.
Here we go live. Hello,
Woo-hoo.
everyday leaders. It is Sunday, November the 15th. Oh, wow. What a week it's been. We have had so many phenomenal guests. We've had also some audio challenges with Mike Skripnik earlier this week. So I think we may hit that one again. But I wanted to bring back some amazing people this weekend. And, the Everyday Leaders platform is here to help you develop strategies to overcome everyday obstacles in your life. And so I am loving this journey and all of my tribe, my inner circle that really keeps me going and really inspired through these times, especially COVID-19. So, the guy that I have right here on camera with me, and I don't have to even announce him because Greg Storch from Italy has joined us again to help us understand what's happening across the world for those of us that live in the United States, because you guys happen to get the instructions about COVID-19 about 5 weeks earlier than we did. And
Right.
so about midsummer, we started checking in with you and you were giving us updates on how much longer we were going to have to put up with the mask and the instruction and the quarantine. And it's been right on cue. Everything that you did about 4 or 5 weeks after it influenced the things in the United States.
Right.
So, as we feel this big wave coming back through, help us find out, Greg, what's going on over there. And again, just thanks for joining and giving us your time today.
Oh my gosh, it's such a pleasure to be back with you, Mel. I always love coming on Everyday Leaders 50 and 50, especially right now when everybody's going through a second bout of COVID. And, that can be a huge challenge for people, both mentally and physically. We're just worn out from this thing. And so I just wanted to come on. Everybody's seeing the news. I'm getting messages from people back in the States all the time because they're hearing that, oh my God, Italy is red and Europe is blowing up again. So I thought it would be great to come on here and really share really what's happening because, sometimes the news wants to highlight all the drama, right? And so I want to give people maybe a little dose of reality, and maybe that will help people stay calm and level-headed because I think that's really important. We're all worn out from this thing. We knew a second wave was going to come this fall, and here it is. And people, oh my God, a lockdown and the school's shutting down, and I'm going to have to homeschool my child or my children. And I can't go to the office, so I still have to work from home. I just got back into the routine of not having to do that. And here we go again. And that can
I think in May, right, we didn't really want to believe that. We thought, well, we can get through May and graduations and we can figure it out and then have kind of a hard summer. But I don't think anybody really believed, at least in the United States, that October, that kids would be pulled back out of school. Right. And holidays, we would have to cancel maybe Thanksgiving and think about how we're going to do Christmas differently. And you're right. And so when you say that, it is this second wave that they talked about in the very beginning. And so, it is going to be different for us and it's not over yet.
Yeah.
But what are you guys seeing over there? What's happening right now?
So it's really interesting, at least in Italy, but of course all through Europe, but specifically where I live here in Northern Italy. Italy's interesting because while they have a central government over the entire country, they also have their regional and local governments. And it's interesting to see that they can pretty much override and kind of decide to do what's best for their communities. So what we're seeing here locally in Vicenza, I live in a city called Vicenza. It's about 40 minutes outside of Venice. And so we're in the northern part of the country and we're in the Veneto region. And so if you look at the map and the outbreak right now, we're yellow and we're completely surrounded by orange and red regions. right? So they've got us surrounded. Come out with your masks up. And so what we're seeing is every week, almost weekly, a different decree is coming out. And what the decrees do is they set the rules of engagement. And so what we've seen over the past month is first a call for going back to full-time masks. From the time you walk out the door to the time you walk back in your residence, you really need to have a mask on. So they started with that. A couple of weeks after that, restaurants started shutting down again. And so here's what's happening with restaurants. And hopefully the United States follows this because it's not as impacting as it was the first go round. They've learned lessons. And I think this is a huge thing to spotlight for people is when we experience challenges in our lives, it's beneficial for us to look back and say, okay, what did I learn? And then take that and apply it to what's happening now. And I think that's exactly what people are doing. So what they've done now is restaurants are shutting down by 6 p.m. So no in-restaurant service. You can't go into a restaurant, sit down and have a meal. By 6 o'clock, they have to shut off the service to people sitting down. But what they're doing is they're transitioning to a takeaway service and delivery. So up until 10 p.m. at night, you can actually order in, or you can order and go pick up, or just go there and order and wait for it and take that home with you. So they're slow rolling that. And just this Friday, just a couple of days ago, the latest decree has called for non-essential stores to close. So non-essential is going to be things like maybe your clothing stores that may not be like, things you need for necessities. But of course, grocery stores are open and things like that. And the other thing they're focusing on is crowds. They're limiting. There is a curfew, so to speak, in effect from midnight to 5 a.m., I believe, or maybe it's 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. So if you are out during those hours, you actually have to have a form with you. And if you're stopped by the authorities, you have to have a legitimate business reason to be out in the economy, doing whatever, whether it's coming to and from work or visiting somebody in the hospital or grocery shopping. I don't know who does that in that time hour, but you have to have a legitimate reason to be out. So they're really controlling movement, large groups of people. You cannot have anyone over in your home, more than 4 other people that are not family members. So if there's 2 people and they invite people over, they can only have 4 other people there for a total of 6 people in one gathering. And they're really kind of saying, try not to even do that. So Mel, as you can imagine, we're coming up on the holidays for Americans here in Italy. When we're descending on Thanksgiving, traditionally, that's the holiday to get people all around the table. And we're looking at, what are we going to do this Thanksgiving? Because we can't join our friends.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is a big shift. And then, of course, it's going to be followed by Christmas. So it's really a big issue right now. But so what we're seeing now is a slow rollout, a very methodical rollout of closing and limiting access to things. And the intent is to limit big social gatherings.
Mm-hmm. And here's the thing, right? If you haven't been conditioned already this year to try to figure out what you're going to do differently, now as the second wave hits us, it's like, okay, we have to figure out really how we're going to survive and thrive because, we're instructed by everybody in school or work, like, you got to do these things. Now it's like, but that's the personal, your personal time that you say, oh, the Thanksgiving weekend to say, I'm going to figure out how to just be with family like I've never been able to do. And maybe this is the first time that you were planning to say, well, if we can just get through COVID this year, now we're going to figure out, right, how to do it something special to
Yes.
celebrate the trade-offs that we've had all year since March. We haven't been able to do it, but now we're going to plan for Thanksgiving. And so now when we get these instructions, especially watching you and saying, wow, this is not going to go away yet. And so
Yeah.
I think we have to be aware that the situation is real, and then we
Mhm.
have to intentionally decide how we're going to show up and make this the best year that it can possibly be for those that we love, to keep each other safe.
Yeah. I mean, you nailed it. This is all about the choices we're going to make. There's, excuse me, there might be people watching right now being like, that dude's crazy. Like, I'm so sick of COVID. Forget all this stuff. I'm not doing this. Right. And I get it. We are worn down. We've never experienced anything like this for several generations through our families. And we're faced with doing things that we've never done before. And really, I would encourage people to not get sucked into that negativity. You don't have to do that.
Mhm.
You can choose to look at this in a completely different way than everybody else. So, this Thanksgiving, if you're unable to get together with family, create memories of the year you had to do Thanksgiving on Zoom. Right?
That's
Do
right.
something, think outside the box and start subscribing to the positive attitude of, look, this is reality. This is what we're facing. And here, these are my choices. I can either be angry and mad, and buck this whole thing, or I can embrace this. I can be I love this challenging time, and the reason why I love it so much is because it forces us to get creative. And my hotspot is creativity. So when I'm faced with a challenge like this, it gets the juices flowing and my brain working on, like, okay, all right, so how do we work around this? What's something else we could do differently? A great example is, I volunteer at the USO quite a
Mm.
bit. And one of the things they're struggling with is, how do we continue providing services to our military community over here through a virtual platform? And so what we're doing is we're asking these questions like, how do I take a program I'm doing in person and still offer that in a virtual manner? So it's really challenging to get you to be creative. And I'll tell you what, the USO over here is really coming up with some awesome ideas on how they're going to keep this community energized, positive, and focused on the future. So I just encourage people really to listen. I'm joining you. I don't want to go through another lockdown again. Believe me, nobody does. But the reality is, it's probably going to happen.
Mhm.
But what I do know, Mel, is it's not gonna be forever. This is not the rest of our lives. It's a
Mhm.
blip on the timeline. So, we
It
just
is a
gotta
blip.
stay the course.
It is a blip, and I just wanna tell you, you know, so last year, if people don't remember, you did a whole training on consistency because you had
Mhm.
celebrated your 100th,
Yeah.
weekly roar, and so I have your little lion right here beside
There
us.
he is. That's awesome.
His name is Greg. But, to remind me of consistency, so the things that you need to practice in being consistent in, and one, like we've discussed, but your attitude, right? If you can get up with the right attitude every single day, that will help you to figure out what other obstacles that you're going to have that come at you. And oh my goodness, it's, because we can't tell when it's going to be over. And and so, oh, Diane's on here. Hi, Diane.
Oh,
Great to
hi,
see
Diane.
you. Oh, yes, we love you, Diane. We miss you. Yes, and what she is saying exactly, right? The creativity
Yeah.
is when we have to overcome these circumstances. And so, whether it is developing games on Zoom for your kids to connect to family members, right? Figure out a way or a system or reach out to people. There are millions of people online right now that have
Mhm.
groups. Diana's one of those with Play with
Yeah.
Purpose. If you need ideas for the holidays on things that you could do on Zoom with your families, get a hold of Diane Dick. She'll create a
Yeah.
whole game plan for you.
I'm telling you, I love it.
But that's what it is, right? Using the people and our resources around us to say, well, maybe I can't figure it out, but leaning on others to help us.
Yeah, you make a great point, Melanie, and I would even go one step further because there's some people who are struggling with the creativity and they can reach out to people. Hi, Debbie, nice to see you. Um, they can reach out for people to get help, but one group we're forgetting about are people who think they have this under control, right?
Mhm.
The people who are like in their personal growth phase, they got this locked and loaded, and maybe they're forgetting to ask for help because if I've said it once, I've said it a million times. I don't care who you are. If you are the janitor or if you're the CEO of a company, none of you got anywhere in life without the help of other people. And now's no different. As a matter of fact, now it's even more important to recognize the fact that we need help and it's okay to ask for it. So I'd encourage people if you're just not getting creative, if you're stuck, how am I going to continue working at home and dealing with my children? I don't know when schools are going to reopen. Start tapping into your network. Start talking to your friends. What are they doing? And just ask for help. It's okay.
Mhm. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Even Jesus had the 12, right?
Boom.
There
Drop
you
the mic.
go. Drop the mic.
I
We
love
can't
it.
do it alone. We can't
I'm
do it
telling you.
alone.
I love
Um,
that.
yes, consistency and attitude is huge.
It
Diane,
is.
here you go. Your phone's gonna ring off the hook. Play with Purpose, incredible resources. It's sometimes, like you said, Greg, it's saying, "Okay, I am challenged. I can't do this myself. What
Mhm.
do I need to do? What are the resources that I need to get through the holidays?" For people that say, "Well, I give all the time. I go to the Wheeler Mission, and I'm the one that's serving the food every Thanksgiving, and that's something, a tradition that we do as a family. How am I going to show up this year, right? I don't know how to give." And so
Yes.
that's probably, with a lot of people too, they are givers. And so
Mhm.
saying you have to stay quarantined, that goes to mental health, right? And we've
Mm,
talked a lot about mental health and making sure that you're staying strong for yourself right now. And
yeah,
I think you brought up that great point. So what do you kind of recommend? Because I know you have some coaching clients that you work with all over the world. And
I
so
do.
what are you recommending to people that are in that category?
Yeah, I love this question because not everybody is in the same mental space, especially during a challenge or a time when there's a barrier to moving forward. And so I don't want to downplay that. Some of us are on this personal growth journey and we've developed a habit of mentally training ourselves, but not everybody does that. And
Mhm.
so there are a lot of people out there who might really be struggling with this. And, they're probably sitting here watching, oh, yeah, that's easier said than done. And so, I have a great personal story. I was running, I was training for my half marathon back when COVID first hit. And about 4 months ago, I had a knee injury. I had bursitis come up in my knee and I couldn't get rid of it. And I hadn't been running for a good 4 months. I would try and I would get knee pain and I would try and I get knee pain. And so I had a choice to make. And I had a choice. I could have said, you know what? COVID's around the corner. We're going to be locked down. I'm not even going to be able to leave my house. So I don't need to start running again. But no, the alternative was I am not on lockdown yet. So last week I went out for a run and my knee felt great.
Mhm.
I think the bursitis has healed. It's gone away. And I've been going out nice and slow and taking runs. And, it's about not making excuses and just taking advantage of the moment. Like, you're not on lockdown right now, so do what you need to do. But it's all, mental, what you're telling yourself in your head. Like, that voice inside is real. And the fact of the matter is, we have a fight or flight, tendency. That's historically proven ever since we were cavemen facing dinosaurs, right? Like, we're getting out of here. We know when there's trouble. And so, knowing that, we can make a choice on what we're going to do. We can show up. And like you mentioned, Mel, is how are you going to show up? The beautiful thing about everything in life is we get to choose. Nobody has taken away your ability to make a choice. When all's said and done, no matter what you have or don't have, the one thing we all have is the ability to choose. And it's just a matter of desire, really. Do you want to choose this or that? And listen, I know it's hard. I don't want to go on another lockdown. I know what's coming. However, I can start mentally preparing now. What can I do when this happens? Because it's going to happen. And so it's all about the freedom of choice. And I want to remind everybody, listen, just remember, you can go left or you can go right. You get to pick.
Right.
It's beautiful.
Well, and I think probably what we learned too, if we did this in March and said, well, I tried to do it this way and I lasted until about September and then I kind of went stir crazy, right? And then we had fall break and so everybody decided to take a little bit of vacation and then the world went crazy again. And so what did we learn, right? What do we have to do differently this time to maybe have a better strategy? And so sometimes we win, sometimes we learn. Right.
Absolutely. I'm not a scientist, that, and everybody knows I'm not. But the thing is, you've got to remember some things, and that is a couple of things that I've seen is that you got to remember that numbers are increasing, but testing has increased. So what do you think's going to happen when you're testing more people? You're going to get more positive tests. But I will tell you, one of the things I've seen, let me see if I can pull it up here real quick, is since April, we've had 2 times more testing in Italy, or 3 times as much. And the death rate has actually gone down 10 times between April and October. There's a couple of reasons why, and it's science stuff, and I'm not going to get into that because I'm not the guy to talk about that. But I just want to, listen, this is not Armageddon. It's not the end of the world. I promise you, we're going to get through this. We're a resilient culture. We're a human race. We've gone through these things before. Yes, people are passing away, and this is how history has shown us it goes. But what we do know is society comes out on the other side and continues to grow and get better. And that day's coming soon. You just got to be ready for that and keep thinking that. Don't let your mind play tricks on you. Fear is the great paralyzer. It will trick you. It wants to keep you safe. It wants to keep you right where you are. It doesn't want to see you change. And if you allow it to, that's what's going to stop you from making it through a second wave, a second lockdown, a second homeschool, whatever. So, yeah.
It's so true. And, here we go. So building your own resilience, for your family. And so it has been tough. I mean, I haven't had specific COVID related deaths, but, people that have been close to me and people, friends and family have
Mhm.
experienced COVID, have had symptoms, have been in the hospital. So I don't think this has missed anyone's family, right?
Mhm.
Someone, we say 6 degrees of separation. I
Correct.
think it's probably a little bit closer than that. And so we have to say, well, that person was affected in this way. And
Mhm.
so it makes you really start to appreciate your own health and the decisions that you do make sure that you're
Yeah.
staying safe. Right. And
Mhm.
so wearing your mask and washing your hands and keeping, somebody said yesterday on a call about social distancing versus physical distancing, right? And so the difference is we don't have to socially dist, we just have to physically be distant.
Mhm. Right.
So being smart, even if we go onto the restaurants are closed down and the hair salons and things, and that really hurts them. So my challenge for everybody is if you have the ability to give, think about those in your community that you can serve locally to
I
help
love
through the
it.
holidays, right?
Yes.
It is so important. These nonprofits that I have been trying to help get the word out for them, trying to survive, and when they have been, focusing on events that are fundraising events to
Mhm.
help them to live their message to help their communities. And
Mhm.
so many things, that we're trying to celebrate that people are doing great things to give back to the community. So, if you
Yeah.
can give, I wanna encourage you to really think this Christmas about, not maybe of yourself, but of those people that have been really suffering this year, that could use just a little bit of encouragement, right?
That's
Um,
right.
because that mental health can get into all of us. If our mindset changes and we don't feel secure, it can really change the whole scope of our game. And so, that's what we do as leadership coaches to try to give people the self confidence and the self awareness to make sure that they can survive.
Yeah. You're exactly right. I love that point, Melanie, because my wife and I were just talking about that the other day. And, you know, a lot of the restaurants around here are mom and pop, family owned businesses. And, we made the decision to, even though during this time, it'd probably be better for us to just, cook our dinner at home and eat in, we want to support our local economy. And so we're ordering out and picking it up and taking it back home. We're fortunate enough to where we live, we can throw a stone and hit 10 pizza joints, or pick up fresh pasta at a place and cook it. And that really helps the economy and it helps everybody survive through this time. So, I always talk about how important it is for us to turn the attention away from ourselves and towards other people.
Mhm.
And now more than ever, that's so needed to be, focused on others before yourself.
Yep, absolutely. Here's what Diane says. And how you respond to the pandemic all stems from your beliefs. Exactly.
Oh my
Um,
gosh. Yes.
yes, yes. If just be smart and we're just trying to help you with Greg here, remind you of what's happening across the pond, if you will, across the Atlantic, because
Yes.
it's going to hit us. The wave is coming, and if you can see the
Mhm.
results, I shared this map here a little bit, and so Greg lives, if you can see my little pointer, right up here in northern Italy. And so that's where it's turning red
Mhm.
all around here. And so, just being aware, right? Sometimes it's just being
Yeah.
aware of our environment so we can make sure to kind of prepare, right? That's all we're trying to do is not scare anybody, but help you get prepared.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things we're seeing is, our healthcare facilities are not getting overwhelmed yet, and that's really what they're basing the yellow, orange, red thing on is the healthcare system's ability to support the population, and so we're starting to see more and more cases. People are recovering more quickly than they had previously. They're coming in. Yes, they're testing positive, but they're recovering. Their quarantine has been a huge thing over here. So, as you can imagine, we have military people transferring here for their duty stations from the United States. And there's a facility, whether if you're a family, they actually have housing designated for quarantine quarters for families. And if you're a single soldier, they have a whole building of whole barracks designated as a quarantine facility. So when you arrive in Italy, you do your 14-day quarantine, and then you come out, you get tested, and then you check in. So they're doing a really good job at that. They've got it under control. They know who's coming and going. So that, again, these lessons learned from last time is helping us get better at handling things this time. And that's the whole name of the game, not just during a pandemic, life in general, right?
Life in
Is like
general.
you gotta stop and pick up the lesson from your past experiences and apply them forward so you know how to do it. But I love Diane's point is, our belief systems, whether you feel like your freedoms are being impeded upon or not, or you want, the greater good for the greater people and wearing masks, and you can't legislate that stuff. I mean, people believe what they want to believe. And that's the other thing is we are conditioned where we grew up, who we grew up with, what part of the country, the people that were in our lives as children that, we heard saying things, all formed our belief patterns in our subconscious. And when we tap into our subconscious, it's automatic. It's an automatic response. We don't think, oh, I'm not wearing a mask. It just clicks and we just don't do it. It's programmed in our subconscious. So I think I would encourage people to understand that everybody has a different perspective.
Mhm.
Don't judge. Here's the thing. You need to focus on you. Are you doing the right thing for you?
Mhm.
Don't worry about Joe, Susie, and Tom. Worry about Greg, right? If I believe that I need to be wearing a mask when I walk out the door, do I have my mask with me, right?
Mm.
Worry about the things that are in your control and don't judge the things or worry about the things that are out of your control. You cannot force Joe, Susie, or Tom to wear a mask. So you're right, Diane. It is huge. And you're right. That's a great question. How are we influencing beliefs in others? And
Mhm.
you got to be conscious of that as leaders, right? What people are looking
Absolutely.
at us to lead, and they're listening to what we're saying and they're watching what we're doing.
Mhm.
And to answer Diane's question, that's how we're influencing people. And my weekly email that went out yesterday was about that very thing. We have no idea the people we're influencing on a daily basis. And even what's more mind blowing is who we're being influenced by on a
Mm.
daily basis, because we're playing both roles. We're not only influencing, but we're being influenced by others daily. But it's very stealth. You don't even know it. So,
It's that 1%,
mhm,
right? We talk about that 1% every day. So if you
yeah,
start to change your attitude and your beliefs just 1% better every day to try to improve.
yeah.
In a year, now we've almost suffered through this for 7 months.
I
But think
know.
about the compounding effect, right? If you had just taken that attitude and said, "I'm gonna have a positive attitude about this every day," you would probably have Kelly Eckwurzel should be on here, she's my math girl.
Mhm. Yes.
But what, like
Yes,
twenty
Kelly.
percent right now? We'd be at 20%. But the thing is, we have the choice, right? We can get to that point where we're compounding positivity. And so just using a strategy, figuring out what is going to be right for you. And I love your point of meeting people where they are, because
Mhm.
we talk about this every morning on our Bible study. It's,
Yeah.
how do we overcome obstacles? And so, because sometimes we compare ourselves and we say, well, the Joneses next door, they haven't been doing that and they've been fine, right? So why should I have to do that? And so it's meeting people where they are and staying close to what you need to do to take control of improving your circumstances. And
Yeah.
so that's the big lesson, right? Just
Yeah.
remembering that, because we forget.
Yeah. Mel, I'm so glad I had the opportunity to just share what's going on over here in Europe, because I know the news channels in America are showing probably the worst, right? It's mayhem. They're locking down all these regions. Yes, we are taking precautions to make sure we don't have more deaths and protecting the citizens. And so, yes, while we're seeing a new increase, remember they're testing more. Number of deaths are declining. So everybody stay calm. It's not great. No, we are locked down. We're not sequestered to our residences. We can still move about. However, in the recent decree, they did say you can't just wander around downtown. You can't drive downtown like most people normally would do, and walk around and enjoy the sights. You can't do that right now. If you're downtown going somewhere, you need to be on a mission. Like you need to be going to the store, to a restaurant. You need to be doing something. If not, they're encouraging people to just stay home. So yes, things are changing. I hope the news back there is not making it sound like dire straits, because that just will encourage people to panic. And I just don't feel like people need to panic. Just stay calm. Do what you feel is the right thing to do, and know that there's light at the end of the tunnel. This is not going to last forever. We are not going to be wearing these masks for the rest of our lives. We're just not. I don't believe that. And I feel like the end is near to having to go through the whole masks. Everything gets better with time. There's probably going to be an immunization for it that you can get to protect yourself in. And we're going to return to what we would consider or judge as normal. Right. And so that day's going to come. So just hold out and, kind of try and focus on the positive, because where your focus goes, your energy flows.
Oh, there you go. I think that's been one of your lessons. I
Yes.
know that one. Oh my gosh. Well, Greg, I so appreciate you. Thank you so much for coming on today. Always as an everyday leader, you are lifting others up and just keeping us informed of, how to make the right decisions. And so I want to encourage people, if you have not followed Greg yet in his weekly roar, 11 o'clock Eastern on Wednesdays,
Yes.
every week, you can go to the weekly roar, and little Greg right here is going to stay with me. And we've got some great things coming up with Everyday Leaders. So I'm going to put that on the screen right now. We have a class tonight. The 5-week leadership development class starts. And this is really my favorite book. You all know this, The 15 Laws of Growth. I have it right here. So we're going to start studying this in our workbooks. So if you haven't signed up for the class, you can still get a seat, and it starts at 7 Eastern tonight. And so it's a 5-week intense class, and then with 1-year group coaching. So sign up today, because it is an amazing deal and you can get it. So, and this week I'm really excited to share this with you. We have Mindy Epstein from Franklin, Indiana here. Many of you know her locally. She was a yoga instructor, had a yoga studio, and has closed that because of COVID. But she created this top floor women's group that has been meeting the first Wednesday of every month. And so she's going to come on and tell us about what's happening with her. And then Wednesday, I have a new kindergarten author that's joining us. Avery Little. You may remember Allison Little from Wisconsin. Her daughter wrote a book called Tacos and Tutus. And I asked her, what would be the best time to come on and share? So she, kindergarten's pretty big deal right now with the Zoom. But she's going to come on and join us at 5:30 Eastern and talk about her book and how she became an author as a kindergartner. So I love this, right?
Wow.
I know. Exactly. So anyway, those are the updates that are coming this week. And I'm sure, people are joining us to tell their stories of strength and encouragement. So if you have a story to share, if there is something happening that you can encourage someone, encourage, your own family at this time,
Mhm.
let us know how you're doing that because everybody needs this. It's that one person that you can encourage to say, "Well, I never thought about it that way. I'll try it." And so it may get you through a positive experience here at the end of the year when people really, really need ideas and they really need help. So, always able to jump on here. You can contact me at everydayleaders.com. Contact Greg, follow him at the Weekly Roar on Facebook and the Lion's Den. I think it's just fabulous the consistency and trying to help people become everyday leaders in their life.
Mm. Yeah. I just want to plug Everyday Leaders because one thing I realized, and it had a lot to do with you, is that, people have this idea or this image of a leader in their head, and it's usually the CEO, the leader of an organization. And what I've learned is from your title, Everyday Leaders, is we're all leaders in some form or fashion. You don't have to be the CEO of a company to be a leader. Maybe you're leading your families. Maybe you're a leader in your community or your church. There's some role where you are leading. And if none of that is true, at the end of the day, you're leading yourself. So you are a leader. And I love it. So Everyday Leaders, highlighting the people that are everyday leaders.
Every
Best.
day. Every
Every
day. Every day. I'd say the best decision we have to make, the first decision we have to make is how to be a leader in our life every day. The most important decision. So you're right, Greg,
Mhm.
and you really exemplify this. And so I love you. I thank you for being on this journey with me. Thank you for joining us from Italy tonight. And
You're welcome.
stay safe and please keep us updated on everything that's happening. If there's any
Always.
big news, please come back and share with us, okay?
I will. I will.
All
Thank you
right.
so much, Mel. Bye, everybody. It was
Greg.
great talking with you.